Greetings, Info Warriors. The time has finally come. We're now over 100 days into this Michael Brown situation in Ferguson, St. Louis, right outside of St. Louis in Missouri. I'm your host, Rob Dewitt. I'm going to be with you live for at least the next 3 hours. We got an hour before the decision is going to be made. That's going to be made at 8 o'clock Central. We've got our reporters on the ground. We've got lots of special reports. David Knight's going to be joining me to talk about the significance of grand juries. We have a whole lot in store for you today. Thank you for joining us. And if you are watching this on YouTube, we do appreciate it. We also have many other ways you can be watching us. You can join us at infowars.com/show. That's a free stream. Also, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. Also, prisonplanet.tv for those members out there. And now you can share your username and passcode with up to 20 people. So if you want to get on that, you can spread the word right now. We'll also be streaming on ustream.tv, Real Alex Jones and Alex Jones Live. Those will be feeds directly on the ground for our two reporters, Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs, and we're going to go to them in a second. And we do appreciate all of you out there who are prisonplanet.tv members. It's your support that helps us get the reporters out there, helps us pay for the crew back here, and especially doing these live presentations, which right now we are live. As I am speaking, it's going through the series of tubes that make up the internet out to you, wherever you may be, across the country, even across the world. And like I said, now we're over 100 days into this Michael Brown situation. What will the grand jury say? The announcement's going to be made. Earlier today, the governor came out and appealed for calm. And one thing that's very interesting, watching all the networks, CNN, Fox, they were all saying the same thing. This is very weird that they're waiting till 8 p.m. to make this announcement. It's already dark there now in Ferguson. In fact, why don't you guys cue up one of the live shots and just show people a preview of what is out there now. The people are gathering at the Ferguson police station. We have people gathering in all corners of the area. There's a shot of Joe Biggs. We're going to go to him in 1 second. If you look on the Drudge Report, there's a lot of articles today about what's going on in Ferguson. So the nation waits Ferguson decision, 8 p.m. tonight. Stores close ahead of announcement. Tensions are rising, and people are turning to churches for safe houses. There's a lot going on. Earlier today, Joe Biggs filed a report where they stopped at a Quick Trip. This is a quick 1-minute report, and we're going to be back right after this as soon as we go to this report. But just showing you that businesses are boarding up. They are expecting the worst, and we go now to that report.
I'm Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com, standing right outside of Ferguson, Missouri on North Hanley Road. Now, this Quick Trip right here, you can see they are starting to board the windows up. They are preparing for the worst. Just a couple hours ago, the grand jury came to the decision, and we're supposed to know at 8 p.m. tonight whether or not Officer Wilson will be indicted on the charges of killing Mike Brown. So continue watching our reports. We're going to be out here tonight live streaming as well. Make sure you're going to the Real Alex Jones Ustream and the Alex Jones Live Ustream. Jakari Jackson and I will be bringing you live updates. Go to the Twitter account, go to our Infowars.com website, and then make sure you check in with the nightly news as well. Once again, I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com in Ferguson, Missouri.
All right, so businesses are boarding up, just as they said on the Drudge Report and other news outlets out there. And there you have it. Our reporters are out in the field. We've got all kinds of reports they've been filing. They've been there for over a week now. I'm sure they are exhausted from all the work they've put in. And we're going to go to Joe Biggs if he's ready, if he's there. I'm looking over to the side. If you're wondering, we actually have him on the giant screen right next to me where you can see, I think, is this our Ustream guys right here? Yeah, this is our Ustream, and we're using a really expensive piece of equipment called a Teradek to stream it out live to people. But now, Joe, can you hear me out there?
Rob, dude, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm sure you guys are cold out there. What is the mood? How is the crowd acting at this point?
Tensions are high, as you could expect right now. You know, the governor came out earlier today, and basically the way he described everything was everyone's pretty much bracing for the worst. And like you saw earlier, I followed that report about the Quick Trip. That is only maybe 4 or 5 minutes outside of where the last one was burnt. Also, I spoke to an employee who worked at the Justice Center in downtown Clayton today. She was walking to work in regular attire with a bag with work clothes. She was told that they're not allowed to go into work with their uniforms on and or leave, and told to bring supplies because they could be locked up in there for the next few days.
Yeah, pack your trail mix, folks. I mean, this is pretty much worst case scenario, I think, about to be realized. I'll go ahead and say it. I believe the grand jury is going to put down a no indictment call. I guess their decision will be.
I mean, even on the local TV channels, I was just watching before we came out here, and we set up here at the Justice Center in Ferguson on South Florissant. You could see on the bottom tickers of the local news stations all the school closures in the area, none expected to open up again until Wednesday at the earliest. But then we also know Thanksgiving is Thursday, and a lot of people have off that Thursday and Friday as well. So you're looking at an entire week of school probably being missed here because of this entire investigation into Darren Wilson.
And I'll say this event, and if it does kick off into rioting, into lots of civil disobedience, this to me looks very, I'm going to call it a state-managed situation here. They've waited, they've drug this out as long as possible. They've been changing the day as to when the grand jury is going to come out and say something through different leaks. They haven't been official words. But even today, they said it was going to come out at 4, and then it was 5:30, and then it was 8. And they just keep changing it around. And it's either gross incompetence or they're trying to manage this situation, which is really, it's pretty interesting what we're going to see tonight. We've seen, and as you followed reports of secret armies in the area, guys with earpieces who are not wearing any visible uniform, but they look like they are part of an army. And, why don't you talk about that, Joe? What are the things that you've seen while you've been there?
Yeah, when we were in Clayton earlier today, you could see a larger presence of police. They had different security contract companies in the area. Actually, when I was standing on the sidewalk waiting to go on the radio with David earlier, I saw some SUVs driving up, and they were asking where their staging area was. So there are some contract companies in here as well that are, probably previous military here in the area. But the ones who really caught my eye are the ones that I filed the report on the other day. These guys look like your typical spec op kind of guys. Everyone keeps hassling me because one of the guys looked big. And apparently if you're big, that means you can't be, used to be special ops and they're now a contractor or whatever it may be. But these guys are in the area. They've got the earpieces in. It was interesting because they had North Carolina plates. We all know that that's where a lot of the PMC private military contractor groups are out of, and also Fort Bragg, home of the Special Forces. You've got Green Beret guys. You've got the Delta Force as well. And like Alex has said before, those guys were involved in the Waco incident in Texas back in the 90s.
And you're not speaking from no experience. You've driven these guys around countries in Afghanistan, Iraq. You've dealt with these guys before, taking them on secret missions, dropping them off, then picking them up. You're no spring chicken to this. Yeah,
I mean, I understand how they work, how they maneuver, how they operate, pretty much how they think. So I can spot them really easily in crowds. They don't act like the normal people. These kind of guys, they stick out like a sore thumb, especially in a crowd like this where everyone's protesting and things like that, because they're going to typically be the guys who are quiet with their hands in their pocket, just looking around, being very odd. Everyone out here to my right, they're very emotional. Everyone's voicing their opinions about what's going on. So when you see someone who's bearded up with a backpack on, with an American flag patch on his shoulder, with an earpiece in, for me, and I think for other people, it's going to stick out in this crowd. So I don't know what they're here for, but it's something to look out for, especially if you're watching this here in the area. Keep an eye out for these guys. We've seen them use things like this, the Boston bombing, so it's something to be very wary of.
Well, and just watching your Ustream reports that you've been filing every night, you guys noticed a pattern of this one guy in a mask being arrested seemingly 3 times in a row. Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Yeah, there was a guy who wears one of the Guy Fawkes masks. He's out here every night protesting, and he stands right in the middle of the road, puts his hands up, and they just arrest him and take him off. And it happened 3 nights in a row. And, also, even the KKK guys came out and said that they were going to be targeting people who actually wear those masks. So there's a lot of people on, the tensions are high, the emotions are heavy, and everyone is just tired of being strung around, and they want to find out what's going on with the verdict. Everyone just wants answers. They want closure, even if it's not the answer that they want.
Yeah, and we're going to have David Knight in studio a little bit later to talk about how grand juries work and why their decisions really don't mean much. The prosecutor can still come out, even if they hand down a no indictment, and still say, hey, we're going to press charges. Or they could say they want to indict, and the prosecutor could not press charges. I mean, there's a lot of different ways this could go. The grand jury just kind of opens the door, and it allows people like the governor and the chief of police and the mayor and the prosecutor kind of a hands-off type approach.
They can even get them on manslaughter as well, and they might do that to possibly, in their eyes or opinions, maybe relieve some of the tension. But at the same time, you've got to think, it's been August is when it happened. This has been 3 months, going on 4. A lot of people are emotional, and they've just been waiting. The anxiety, the pressure, the stress of every day wondering what's going to happen out here. You know, today I can tell just from talking to people in Clayton, from the local businesses, people are just tired. The Ferguson fatigue is set in. They want closure. They want this to be over with. They want to go about their normal lives. And the way they're handling this is just not helping the situation whatsoever. And the fact that they're going to release this at 8 o'clock tonight when it's dark, is that so they can see the flashbangs better and the tear gas on footage? I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, and as you've been saying, you've talked to a lot of people there. I want to go to a report now where earlier this week, you and Jakari went out and you talked to a bunch of people in a shopping center. And basically, they've all come to the conclusion that it's in God's hands now. Whatever happens, this grand jury verdict is going to come down, and then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And people need to, people have been stocking up on food, on firearms. Firearm sales are up 700%. So this is really a huge situation that's about to be ignited, depending on what this grand jury says. But let's go to that report now, and then we'll come back with you.
Jakari Jackson reporting for INFOWARS.com. We're once again in Ferguson, Missouri, and we want to talk to the locals and find out what they think about the coming verdict. What's going to happen with Officer Darren Wilson? Will he be indicted? Will he not be indicted? And what do they think is going to happen after that? We've seen a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about potential riots, looting, things of that nature. Thus far, I will say Ferguson, Missouri seems to be rather a ghost town. Let's talk to the people and see what they think about this situation.
How you doing?
Good. What do you think about the Darren Wilson verdict? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, my God. I have no idea. Well, I'm really not sure. I'm just hope that justice will be served. I think that when you do a crime, you should be punished for it.
And we asked people what they think is going to happen with the Darren Wilson verdict. Do you ladies have any opinion on that? No?
What do you think is going to happen with this Darren Wilson verdict?
Nothing over here.
You don't think so?
Maybe in Clayton.
Man, I just hope it don't be no riots, though.
Right.
Because we need these businesses out here, to keep it flowing, so.
So what do you think? What did you think last time when they had the riots and the looting and all that?
It was bad, man, because people couldn't even come outside, go to the stores or work or anything like that. So I just basically tell the young people, man, just fall back and let God take care of this,
Not afraid of anything. We know people here, so we're all,
pray to the good Lord, too, that everything turns out well.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm just praying God be with us and God be with St. Louis, you know what I'm saying?
And we've seen a lot of stoking of racial division, and most recently the Klan has even threatened to come out here to the city of Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh, my God. That is just too much.
Are you kidding me?
That's what they're saying.
Okay, so we got to get geared up then.
Overland is actually the Klan headquarters, for what I understand, for St. Louis.